Your setup, like I don't know, where did you get all these stuff? Did the AK gym just have them available and you just took them?
No, so that this poster right here is actually from DC versus Volkanov.
Yeah.
Actually, Stipe Miocic versus Ngannou won.
Wow.
And then right there, that's actually the UFC posters from media days.
Yeah.
They do all the media days, and they have to go set up for DC. That's actually that one right there. That one right there is a picture of Khabib jabbing Conor McGregor in the face, and it's signed.
Wow.
What a poster.
And then I just got one of my medals. Just a little setup right here. I mean, there's a bunch of more stuff. I mean, this is my garage, so everything's kind of just thrown around right now.
But the setup is one thing. Look at the quality of the camera.
Man.
Quality of the camera is A1.
Yo, first of all, the picture, I see the signature. You had to get it signed. How did you get the media day thing? Did Daniel just put it in his suitcase and brought it for you?
No, I travel with them. So when everything's said and done, they're like, hey, if you guys want to take the step, you guys can take it, or we just toss it. So everyone just grabs them and they take them. And then we were actually, this one was in Boston, right? So yeah. I'm literally traveling in the airport, holding on to the signs, and going through customs. I'm not customs, but going through checkpoints and put the big old sign in. Yeah. So
was that a carry? Was that a carry-on?
Yeah, we had to carry it on.
What?
People must have hated you.
The flight attendants were pretty cool. They kind of just put it in the back, like on the back of one of the seats, like the last row. They just put it right in the back, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we want to go to events to cover them. For the to get credentials. One difficult part is UFC just doesn't give out credentials. You have
it's hard. Even for me, it's hard.
You have to have some sort of
following.
Fan base or go through a publication or stuff like that. So we're still working on that. But
it could be like a legit publication or a legit media stream.
Yeah.
Just, media credentials to anybody. Yeah, even for me, it's tough. So don't feel bad. I mean, it's hard for me as well.
So let's just go over what is your camera gear like he mentioned it. Are you is this just a spare camera you're using right now? What's going on?
Yeah, this is a spare camera that I got right now. I got a couple cameras in the back. The ones I do for photo are the Canon 1DX bodies, and then of course it's all top-notch gear from top-notch glass from Canon that I use. The one I used to film is a Canon C100 Mark II. So I'm still kind of behind on the old gear, the old technology. I like it, man. It still works for me, so I don't see it as a need to upgrade just yet. So I just kind of use all the old stuff that I'm used to. I still use I got the little Osmo Pocket for a little running gun type thing. Believe it or not, those things work great. And then just a little point and shoot Canon, depending on where I'm at and what we're doing. Sometimes they don't allow big bulky cameras in, so you got to use something smaller.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people the first thing that they ask is what is your gear? What do you use to make it so good? The other thing was what do you use to edit it? Do you actually edit the videos yourself?
Yeah, so I do all the editing myself. I know a lot of people love the Adobe Premiere, but I'm just Final Cut Pro works for me, and I stick with it because it works for my workflow. I know professionals are like, oh, you got to use Premiere, but it just the workflow on Premiere doesn't work the same for me as it does in Final Cut. So when I do videos in Final Cut, if I'm editing photos, the majority of my workflow goes through Lightroom, and if it's something very specific and detailed, then I jump on Photoshop and touch it up real quick, and that's that. Whatever you see come out of the camera is all natural as possible. I try to do as little tweaks as possible, just the lighting, the contrast here and there, but I try to remain true to the image.
Yeah, so we mainly use Premiere, and that's just because a long time ago I just started using Premiere, and then I helped him learn how to do it. Well, what differences do you what don't you like in Premiere that just helps in Final Pro?
For example, the rendering. I didn't understand the whole rendering, when you have to when you want to put something on the timeline, right, and you have to let it render before you can play it through, and it's not all choppy. Whereas in Final Cut, I just throw it in, I make my adjustments there, and I chop it right there in the timeline, and then it's good to go. It's out the door.
Bro, what are we doing?
Well, I think
as far as waiting for the files to upload and then having to wait. So I don't know. I had the workflow that I had. Everything had to be put out quick. And for me, Final Cut was just faster.
Wow. Well, so what are we doing? Why are we wasting so much time doing
I think
Premiere?
it's time to switch over to Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, we'll try it out because like I know whenever we go into After Effects as well, like you have to press I think it's like 0 and then it loads, renders everything, and then you can start working in it.
It's a headache, right? It's a headache.
How did you get into this entire like filmography? Was it a passion? Was it something you went to school for? How did it start?
For me, when I was in 6th grade, I had photography as an elective. So I started doing it as an elective from 6th grade all the way through 8th grade. And then in high school offered photography as well. So I did it all 4 years. It just came easy and natural to me. So then I did some college as well. And then I just kept at it.
Yeah, really? Oh yeah. What did we have in school?
We had arts class. I don't know, but like photography. We had arts, but in high school they have photography. I know in Toronto there's actually a thing. There's actual college for thing.
Yeah. There's college everything. Funny thing is, in grade 9 you have to choose an elective.
Yeah.
There's art, choir, or like band.
Yeah.
I picked choir because it was the easiest thing. They put me next to the girls because my voice was really high there. I instantly regretted it. After like a week or two, I was like, man, I should
went to arts class.
Yeah. I was.
See, for me, the photography came easy. So that's why I just chose it like from 6th grade on.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing, but different results, I guess.
Yeah. I did nothing with my voice. So you went to school a little bit. You was a little bit of passion. Why MMA? Like, how did you find the AKA gym?
So I started, the majority of my work prior to AK was event photography. So I was doing a lot of concert and events for artists, and it was pretty good. But there came a time where, see, when I first started, here, let's just back up a little. When I first started, the digital cameras were so expensive that not any ordinary Joe Schmo could afford it. So that's when I started doing the concert events, because a lot of artists needed photos for their marketing stuff.
Yeah.
I transitioned to MMA when the cameras became more affordable. So I had a bunch of artists telling me, hey, you know what? We're not going to need you anymore. I bought my cousin a camera and he's going to do all the work for me now, which was okay, right? But then they were coming back to me like, hey, why aren't the photos the same? What's going on? And I was like, well, hey, it's the experience, And then they were like, hey, can you fix the photos for us? And I was doing it for a little while, but then it was so bad. I mean, the photos were so bad that, they weren't unfixable.
Yeah.
So they were not repairable. So then I started doing local MMA shows here in town just to kind of stay busy and to perfect my craft, because there was nothing really going on. And then the local promotions, that I was shooting for liked them. So they started actually hiring me on to shoot their promotions. And then from there, I became friends with some of the fighters. And then I was introduced to Daniel Cormier. When I was introduced to Daniel Cormier, I took a photo of him at a local MMA event, and he loved it. From there, he's like, hey, that's it. Come meet me at the gym and take some photos of me for my social media stuff. So ever since then, Daniel Cormier was the one that brought me in.
Yeah, I don't want to date you, like put an age on you. But how long was this? Like, how long does it take place? Like, when did you first start going to MMA events and then meet up with Daniel?
I started doing the MMA events probably about 2012, 2013, and I think I met DC 2013, 2014, somewhere in that time frame.
Wow,
It's a long time.
That's a long time. It's only been like what, 3 years, 4 years since your channel has
Exploded.
actually got the attention.
Probably about 2 years,
Yeah.
maybe a little more. And see, the thing was with my YouTube channel, it used to be private, right? The only reason I had that YouTube channel was for my family to see what I was doing while I was away on camp. I was just goofing off at first, and just for them to see something, and to see like, oh, Dad's actually working, instead of because it sounds good, you're gone for a week, but your family really doesn't know what it takes. Or like, oh yeah, they're having fun, you're in a hotel, you're with your friends, but there's a lot of work that comes with it. So a lot of my videos prior to the ones that got a little bit of hits on them were actually private. A lot of them are still private.
Wow. Yeah.
There's a one legendary video of Islam Makhachev and Chase Saldade.
Yeah. That one, I didn't expect to blow up the way it did, but when it blew up, I mean, I was getting messages from ESPN, Reuter Sports, and all these people, and some high wrestling channels with a lot of viewers. You know, hey, can we use your content? You know, this is awesome. You know, do you mind if we share it? So right off the bat, I had to ask Chase. I asked Chase, hey, this is going on. What do you think? And Chase was like, man, go ahead, put it out, let everybody see it. So I said, okay. So everything that goes out, I ask permission first, you know, just to make sure it's okay with the other person, and there's not going to be any negative blowback on it, because there was a lot of negative blowback where people saying that Islam was roughhousing Chase and, you know, just ragdolling him, which wasn't the case. I mean, these guys put in work, and it just happened that, you know, Islam pulled off that tie snap on Chase that day.
Next level tie
Yeah,
snap.
I want to credit you as well. Like, yeah, a lot of people like know the channel, but they don't know you as a person. We want to give you some credit. Like, you've also started this wave of a lot of gyms putting out a lot of footage, right? But before, you don't really see too much of
Like the one in Sweden.
Yeah, so you might have not been the first one, right, or anything like that, but there's this new movement, like the Sweden camp, front kick, I believe it's called front kick or jump kick, something like that. They are starting to put up content, and they're actually putting time into it, similar to what you're doing, where they actually give this footage the tender treatment that it needs, so that the world can see it.
I agree with you on that sense. I mean, I wasn't the first, but I was one of the handfuls, I think, to do what I do. And it's weird because now I see, and like you said, a lot of gyms have personal photographers. A lot of fighters now have their own personal photographers, and they put out their content on their own. Right now, everything is social media based, where people want to know what's going on up to the instant that, you know, the person's living their life. And I think a lot of fighters are seeing benefits to this with their fan base and their sponsors and their promotions, where they need to put themselves out there to an extent, right? To an extent, because, you know, people still need their private lives. But a lot of people with fans want to know what they're doing up to the second, up to the minute. And I think myself and maybe a handful of others, I mean, of course, you got to throw in, I always throw his name out, Will Harris. You got to throw Will Harris into that category. But yeah, a lot of these fighters are noticing the importance of social media, and they're using it to their advantage now.
Yeah, it's really a shift from what's like normal in the MMA industry. Like, you see in other industries where they are embracing social media and giving out raw footage. Now there's people actually saying, you know what? Why don't we just do that for fighters? Like, they only fight like at max like 3 times a year. Like, how do you expect them to grow if all the growth comes from every 3 months? Right? Sorry, every 3 fights. So
that, but it's expensive. Camp's expensive, living's expensive, your food, your training, your basic needs are so expensive now that these guys are reaching out to sponsors. The sponsors like, hey, put on my cap and take some photos and I'll give you XYZ dollars. And fighters who are hurting for money are like, yeah, no problem. I got a photographer right here that's willing to help me. Why not do it? You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to know, like sponsorships do come to fighters, but how often do you get approached by sponsors?
How would I explain it? I have sponsorships in the sense where I don't have gear sponsorship, right? And I wish I did. I wish I had Canon on my back, where if I need something, you know, they'll send it my way. But I have sponsorships in the sense where, check this out. Companies like these guys right here, Bryant Boxing, I'll reach out to them, or actually they reach out to me. Hey, what do you need? Hey, I need boxing gloves for some fighters, and we'll either give these to the fighters, or, you know, I use them myself for training. I mean, Nearfall, the clothing line, the wrestling clothing line. They'll give me cash, and on top of that, they'll give me clothing and gear to work out for myself. You know, they sponsor a lot of these fighters too, and I have sponsorships in that sense, right? But nothing monetarily, really. It's all mostly like product. There's a new fighter at the gym. The guy has nothing but the clothes on his back. And these guys right off the bat, what do they need? Right. And they'll send me a whole care package for a fighter and we're like, hey, on behalf of Bryant Boxing, this is what they sent out for you, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, Bryant Boxing, these guys is a great company. It's locally owned. It's owned by a couple guys, and whatever I need at any time, they'll send out. I get emails and messages from these guys. Hey, what do you need? And sometimes they'll tell me, I'm okay. I don't need anything, because at that time I don't. But the minute, something arises, I reach out and boom, it's on the way.
There's recycling of your material elsewhere, right? It's everywhere. It's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, and a lot of those platforms, they do get monetary benefits from it. What is your take? Like, do you care that other people use it? Do you try to claim stuff? Like, what's your opinion?
If a channel has not that many followers, I don't really try to pressure or push the issue too much, because I know how it is starting off. But if a channel has 500,000 subscribers, they have millions of subscribers, and they're putting out my content, and they're monetarily profiting from it, that's where I have a problem. And the thing is, they don't even ask permission. That's what really upsets me the most. Or the thing that upsets me the most is when they throw their own logos on it.
Oh no!
Watermark. Yeah, it's the worst.
No. And then now everybody that sees it thinks it's their footage. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of channels like Mountain MMA, I think it's called. There's you know anymore?
Why are you putting this?
There was one called the Mountain MMA, and there's one called True Gym MMA. Those guys, I think True Gym is the only one that's ever reached out and said, hey, do you mind if we use your footage? We'll compensate you. Those are the only guys, and those are the only guys that they've ever given permission to. True Gym MMA.
Wow! Shout out to True Gym MMA.
Good guys.
Yeah, I
only guys.
Yeah. I guess some people just don't care, and then some people are just like, oh, this guy is so big, like I don't even think he's gonna reply, so whatever. I'm just gonna copy paste it into a Final Pro and just render it out, right?
The thing is, everyone wants to be the first to translate it into Russian or Dagestani, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's true.
But True Gym is the only one that's ever asked permission. They're like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Unfortunately, a lot of our viewers don't speak English. Do you mind if we translate it, and we'll compensate you? Yeah, no problem. As long as they reached out and asked, I have no problem.
Why don't you just start your own, like, Russian channel?
I was really thinking about it. The problem is I do not know a Russian translator that would be reliable.
Yeah. I'm sure this isn't. You just grab a couple of Khabib's cousins and be like, hey, listen, brother. Yeah, I'll give you some boxing gloves. Just sit down and translate this for me. It won't.
That is, Khabib keeps everyone employed. That my hat's off to him. Everyone, is busy as far as his family members. So yeah, good for him on keeping his family, taken care of with jobs.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Khabib, what is your first time meeting him? Let's just, like, a couple of things just in general, like, regardless of like interviews. Like, when I talk to people, I try to remember the first time and also think about the most memorable moment I have with that person. So the first moment that I met him was like when he was a kid, and he strolled in and he said, you know what, I'm too tired to go to the park, where he was just stretching on my couch for some reason. I was like, why are you doing that, right? And like the most memorable is like him and me like fighting someday, right? It's a long story, but what is your first impression, like the first time meeting Khabib, and what is the most memorable story that you have of him?
I don't really recall the first time meeting him, because so many fighters come in and out of AKA, and I try to treat everyone as the same. I don't try to treat everybody differently, as like, oh, this guy has the star power, or this guy has, 1.8 million followers on Instagram. So I don't really recall the first time meeting him. I just remember seeing him in the gym, and I try to take photos for everybody, not just certain athletes, So everyone who's at AKA, I take photos of for free, and I give them to them at the end of the session, for them to use for their social media. Yeah. And I think that must have been one of the times where I just gave him the photos I shot of him that day, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, brother." And that was it. Yeah. When I really saw the star power and the actual fan base that he has was after training one day, we went to go eat, or myself and Carlos went to go eat, and Khabib happened to be there around the block to one of our restaurants. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to blow it up, and a lot of people will show up there, right? But we went to go eat out there, and Khabib comes up with this camera, and he's like, hey, look at this burrito guys eating burritos, right? And he put it on his story. The minute Khabib put that on his story, my phone just went crazy. It lit. What the hell's going on? That was the first time I actually mute my notifications. I was getting all these people following, all these people commenting on all my photos, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And it turned out it was the Russian fan base, those guys.
They love it,
they're loyal. And I remember that I used to have my phone number on my Instagram for work, right? So I used to have my phone number.
Oh, no.
Reach out. And I was just having these Russian guys blow up my WhatsApp. Brother, please let me talk to Khabib. And I was like,
Spasiba, brother.
So that I had to change that. I took off my number.
Oh my god. You probably still get a lot of messages like on the daily.
I try to read everyone's message because I never know what's going to be there or what opportunity might be in there for me. So I try to reach all of them. But yeah, when I'm around Khabib, a lot of them are like, oh, please send my regards, or
Please, brother, tell him.
I need to talk to Khabib. Please have him call me. And I'm like, no, I can't bother him with this, you know? So I kind of just erase them, but I read everything.
You know what you should do one day is when you get that message and if you're around him, just accept send a WhatsApp video call and just put him on. You did.
Once for a young kid. And this guy would call me all the time. And he would just, I didn't understand what he was telling me, right? He would just be like, oh, Khabib. And I was like, oh, no. And I would be with my family. And he would just call me at all times of the night. And then one time I was at the gym with Khabib. We had just finished working out. And he called. So I'm like, I turned it on and I turned it on myself. I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? And he was in this little village with his friends. And he was just like showing me the village. So I kind of did one of these numbers to look around. And then Khabib was in the back. And Khabib goes like this, like throwing him up. And the kid was just like, oh my God, he lost his mind. And everyone was going crazy. And then I just kind of hung up on him.
Yeah, wow, that's perfect. Another person that's at the gym that doesn't really get too much like media time, or like, he doesn't really do too many interviews is Islam Makhachev. We're big fans of him from before this huge rush of new fans and like following that he has. Like only since his like Drew Dober fight has he gotten more of this like mainstream push. Like it's kind of hard for me to ask you, but like who is Islam as a person?
Okay, out of fighting and out of training, Islam is like the most gentle person that you'll ever meet. He's just so like well spoken and just very calm, and like he has this like calming tone to him, and he's just so relaxed, and like, oh brother, yes, let's go eat, brother, or no, I don't want to today.
Do I have package?
But then he gets into that fight mode, and he just he switches it off and he goes beast mode. He's 100%.
Yeah, it was. So one of the themes of your videos sometimes is did Islam get a fan mail? Did Islam get any packages?
That's not him.
That's not him?
That's Javier Mendez, bro.
Oh, that's Javier. Yeah, that's Coach Jav. Sorry.
Islam is starting to get a lot of fan mail at AK. He does now.
Yeah, because we actually like months ago, right? We were talking about like, hey, how about we send something to the fan mail for Islam? Right? Yeah. Maybe I think the idea was we address it on the label as Khabib, and then when you open it up, it's like a picture of Islam or something like that. So hey, we might actually still do that if you want. If maybe we send it, we let you know the date that we send it to make sure like gets it recorded. But so
yeah, maybe it'd be funny.
Just leave a note. Put Shy, please record. So put a note on the box and put Shy, please record Islam opening gift or something like that.
Yeah. Shy, Shai?
Yeah, she's the front desk girl and one of the BJJ coaches.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, we see her from time to time.
Yeah, you'll see her in the videos. You'll see her in a lot of hot videos. And then there's a video, I believe, of her jumping out of a box and scaring scaring Islam and Khabib. Yeah, that's her.
Coach Hav is doing pretty good for himself too.
Coach.
So once again, how we talked about the importance of social media. Hav is one of the first coaches that I see out there that's really pushing the social media stuff because he sees the benefits of it. You know, not only in the numbers, but in all the opportunities that not only he gets, but that he can provide for fighters now. Hav is one of the ones actually pushing that frontier right now. No, but I don't do too much YouTubing, but I was on YouTube one day and I looked at, there was an interview. It was a podcast interview and it was conducted at AT&T. Man, those guys have a good podcast setup and they're pioneering that. They have like a round table with legit mics, a legit setup. So if you get a chance, look at AT&T's American Top Team, Florida. I think they're the ones. They have a nice podcast and they're fronting that, you know.
Nice.
Coach Hav has a podcast too. We were trying to message the guy, but he doesn't respond.
Right, and his is more one-on-one, but the one at AT&T, man, their setup is just something else. It looks like it could be on the Rogan, you know, the Rogan show.
You know, but it's pretty crazy because we got this interview with you because we commented on the live chat. I'm not sure if you remember that day where it was you, Len. Yeah, we asked you and then we asked Hav. Hav is very busy, I guess, but
I think I told you guys to reach out to me and I tried to book it.
well, I mean, that was a goal though, right? Like,
I was just messing. You got to reach out to Hav. Hav is the
No, we'll get him on eventually. Yeah, he's actually like really stepped up like the consistency that he's doing and the content, because he sees like he'll put out a clip that's on his channel, but then it'll be repurposed and like get millions of views on other channels. So the opportunity for his channel to grow is there.
yeah, he's doing good for himself.
fan base. He has the knowledge. And he's very well spoken and very articulate on the point he's trying to get across. So, I mean, why wouldn't you want to listen to one of the great coaches and just, you know, pick his brain? It doesn't have to be all for you, or the message he's delivering doesn't have to be all for you, but you'll get, you know, pieces of it and it'll benefit you and everyone listening, I think.
Yeah, of all the coaches that do them, it's Coach Hav and Faraz Zahabi who probably put in like the most work and put out the most content out there.
But
that
Coach
I
Hav
know.
is like,
Coach Hav is he does a lot of raw stuff too, right? Where he lets people ask him questions, and he has like BJ Flores on. And he has a lot more like involvement with the community that I've noticed, right? Speaking of Coach Hav, is his haircut that bad?
And it's a touchy subject because I think Khabib and the way the Muslim people are, they're used to one set style because of the religion, and that's fine, and that's all dandy, you know. So when they see something different, it's not to their liking because it's different, you know.
Yeah.
Where it's Americanized. There you go.
Yeah.
But I think Coach
it's
Hav
abnormal.
It was a good cut.
Yeah. We're also Muslim as well, right? I know what their thing is a cultural as well, right? It's very just
Right. There you go. Cultural. That was the word I was looking for.
it's just like you
buzz
know,
cuts and
like it's utility, right? It's just like, just shave your head and don't worry about it for a couple months and you'll be good.
It's not for looks. It's just for, you know, I cut my own hair. Let's go.
You know, that beard, you've been doing work on that beard. Respect.
It's long, you know, sometimes it's down to my mid chest and I just cut it off.
Man, I tried to maintain mine, but like bro, you got a couple more years before you have to worry about it. But like I tried to, and then like a week goes by, and I'm like, what the hell? Why do I look like that? I have to reset. It's too much work, honestly. It's a curse.
having a beard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. A little mustache. Yeah. The last question we'll just ask you is, from a guy that you've been around a lot of mixed martial arts events in the past, as you said, like you went to Regents, and what's something that really surprised you when you actually were there in the gym for like extended amount of time? Was it like people's intensity? Was it like weight cutting that was surprising to you? The brothership, like what was it?
Dedication these fighters have. I mean, it's all the fighters at AKA that I can attest for. I'm not sure how it is at other gyms, but man, these guys, you know. Okay, for example, now the training times changed a little bit, but beforehand, you know, you used to have your first training session from 12 to 2. they'd go home, they'd eat a little bit, they'd do cardio on their own. They come back for bike session or hitting pads with Coach Hav at 6, right? Then they go home, they eat a little bit, and they still do cardio at night. So these guys are training anywhere from 2 to 5 times a day, right? The only days off they would probably have is Sunday, because Saturday they would still get up, they'd still do some cardio, maybe some light mitts, and get ready for Sunday. Sunday was the rest day for some. But just the intensity of training that these guys go through, it's hats off for the dedication. And then, like you said, on top of that, they still have the weight cut. So there's a lot that goes into fighting. Masters of their craft. They put all their time and dedication into it. For example, you have some fighters at AKA who don't live in California per se, or they live in California, but their family lives elsewhere. And that themselves takes a toll, because you're away from family, you're away from your kids, you're away from your norm, and you're training, 3 to 5 times a day. That takes a toll on the body, and it takes a toll on you mentally as well. But these guys keep it, together for their overall goal of being champions.
Yeah, so you don't have distractions like to reset you, right? You're just always in that routine.
Yeah.
So like it gets a little bit too much sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Guys are coming in, sick and doing their work. And, a lot of the times they don't even tell you they're sick. They're, I have a cold, or I'm under the weather today, or something's not right. These guys go in there and still get the work done. Now, post-COVID, I mean, everyone doesn't want to get sick. So the minute someone's sick, hey, don't even come. And, they're starting to get to the point where they understand the need to take care of themselves as well. Because now you get sick, and I mean, it takes a toll on you.
One thing that I just got reminded of, you said you were at the AK gym 2012, was it right? So you would have been around that age of having Khabib, Luke Rockhold, DC, Kane, all those guys. How was the gym back then compared to now? Because that was like a golden era for AKA, where like the AKA gym was criticized because of the amount of injuries that were happening. Coach Hav was getting criticism of like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's overtraining these guys. Look, he's like, everybody's getting injured. But then at the same time, they went on to all win titles at that gym.
It is tough because of the criticism, but let's say you're an amateur guy, okay, and you're coming into AKA. And you see the Luke Rockhold, you see the Cain Velasquez, you see the DC in the cage, and you're like, oh my God, these guys are the ones I watch on TV. They're my idols, and I want to be like them, right? Yeah. And you see how hard these guys work. You see how hard these guys spar, and then you want to go in there and you want to mimic that intensity, right? And I think that's what it was on why these guys were getting hurt, because they go all out. It's not. Let me go 60% and we'll see what happens. You want to put your best foot forward, and these guys were going 100% all the time. And I think that's why the injuries were happening. And like Coach Hav said in some of his interviews beforehand, a lot of these guys would go in there knowing they were hurt, knowing that something was wrong, and still want to spar to impress Hav and to impress the other guys. Whereas Coach Hav said, hey, if you guys don't feel like sparring or something's wrong, let me know. Today's not your day. There's always tomorrow to spar. And now these guys are a lot vocal with it, but beforehand they weren't. They wanted to prove themselves and put on a good training for their partner and for everyone else to see. And I think that's why the injuries were occurring.
Yeah, a lot of external pressures.
It's a warrior mentality, right?
Exactly, that external pressure and the warrior mentality.
Yeah, but Kane at the same time was dealing with so many back injuries and shoulder injuries, and he just
Khabib
pushed
his
through them.
knees and his back and everything. Right?
Khabib was about to retire. Like, were you around that time where he was basically saying, "I'm done. I'm not going to fight anymore"? The first time.
So I don't think I was around for the first time. I was there when he came back, right from the injuries. That's when I met Khabib.
Okay, yeah. How was the mood when he came back to AKA after his last fight with Justin Gaethje?
Oh man, everyone just went crazy. I mean,
it would be, but it's a little awkward, right? Because at the same time you're cheering and you're happy to see him and he won the fight, but at the same time everybody knows who's gonna ask first, like are you gonna fight anymore, or is like what's happening?
So I've had talks with Khabib, and he's like, hey, maybe 2 or 3 more, and that's it for me. And I think I have a video
I'm not mistaken, where he's next, or maybe I didn't put out the whole clip, but I have a video somewhere of him going, maybe 2 or 3 more fights, and that's it for me. And this was before when he was supposed to fight Ferguson, and I think when Ferguson tripped and hurt himself.
Ah, yeah, the
Off the
cable
wire, yeah.
with the sunglasses.
Right.
Wow.
So
I kind of knew because he was mentioning it, but I never took it serious. You're like, man, this guy's at his prime. 2 more fights and that's it. Nah. but true to his word and true to the promise that he made his mother. I mean, I think that he means it. That's it. There's no more.
Yeah, we made videos about when it first happened, like the first week or so. I was skeptical. Like I understood, like he's a man of his word and all that type of that stuff. There were just so many other stories and opportunities where he could have potentially came back. It was like the George St. Pierre stuff with his father's ambitions for him. It was the Floyd Mayweather stuff. It was all this stuff where even when Khabib was at Abu Dhabi for Abu Dhabi, he was approached. He was walking by, and the schmo stopped him and said, "Hey, Khabib, are you gonna fight GSP?" And then he's like, "Oh, GSP is not answering my message," or he said something like that. So all those stuff was happening, and I was adamant he was gonna come back. But now that news came out that he turned down Floyd for, it said 100 million, but realistically it might have been less than that. And then also the GSP stuff was also turned down too.
So I think, in my personal opinion, the only fight that he would have came back for would have been GSP, and that's because that's the fight his father wanted to see, right? Yeah. And I think that's the only one that he would have came back for. And like you said, I think, yeah, the Floyd Mayweather was $100 million or something to that extent, right? And I think, like you said, money isn't the object of why I fight, right? So that's why you turn that on. I mean, I would have taken it.
We would have tag teamed him, bro. Yeah, the other thing about Khabib that was interesting was later on I understood that he's such a MMA, like a competitive purist, that he doesn't want to face GSP now because he knows GSP is 40 years old, and the GSP that he faces now is not going to be the same one that was the one that him and his father are watching. Right. Which is so mind blowing to anybody, right? Because it's just like, I get it, but at the same time, you could still fight him. But he's just like, no, I don't care.
He's a purist, right? So
yeah, but he's 32.
This would jump on the opportunity just to say, hey, I beat George St. Pierre,
Yeah,
100%, just to add him onto the list of people,
and then be 30.
Yeah, that after that point, I was like, he's done.
He could easily ask for an easy opponent to get the 30, easy.
Yeah,
but why,
You could just ask for the biggest payday. You could ask for Conor again, right? They would have made it even with Conor in a cast, right? He would have cut it off for that one round.
In all honesty, I mean, Ferguson when after his first loss, I think it would have still been a good fight. But now, I mean, in my opinion, there's no point,
Yeah. Ferguson, that fight was cursed from the beginning. Like, it was never meant to be. Like, the universe was like, you know what?
No chance.
You guys want to see it, but it's not gonna happen.
Right. There's no way it's not gonna happen.
It's okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Like, I really appreciate the time, and we appreciate everything, all the candidness that you had here today.
It was a learning experience. We learned about cameras and everything too.
Yeah, bro. We have a goddamn Panasonic GX85 that I got off of like Kijiji, which is like I went to some random condo apartment and this lady left it with concierge. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take that, and here we are.
What did she leave you?
She left me the camera. She didn't even see me. She just she left the camera at concierge at the front desk. And I gave the guy at the front desk what was it, like $400, and I took the camera and went home. And that's
rest history.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't even get to ask her questions like, "Hey, is the camera okay? Is like how long you've been using it?" She's like, "Hey, either take it or leave it."
It's one of those Facebook markets.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's a Canadian one. Is it in the United States?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a Canadian one where you just message them and you pull up wherever.
No.
Yeah. Perfect. Is there anything that you want to plug? I know iAmTheBay, but is anything.
Thank you for your time and thank you for this opportunity, man. Sorry for the delays, man. I know we had some issues with some gear and everything was heating up, but thank you.
It's a lazy Sunday. Appreciate. We'll probably hit you up with something in the future again. But definitely keep in touch. We'll upload this. I don't even know when.
Probably by end of this week.
Hey, no problem.
End of this week.
Khabib would be like, "Hey, upload this in 2 hours."
No problem.
Please, brother. Perfect. All right, brother.
Brian,
Take care.
you.
Thank you very much.
Care.